G'day, Groovers. Just me at the moment. Hi, Biscuit. Even she responds to that. I'm sure some people might come and join me. I'm excited. I want to talk to some people about what I've just seen on my TV screen. Hang on. So I apologize profusely for how I look. I went to the gym. I got home. Hey, Scout Inquirer. I was making some dinner. And while I was making it, I was watching the new Netflix documentary about the Watts family murders. Hey, Francesca. And I was like, I've got time. I'll just watch this. I'll make dinner. I'll eat dinner. And then I'll get ready for my live a bit later on, some scam baiting, which was meant to kick off at 8 o'clock. I've now changed the time to 9. But yeah, I apologize. It's probably best I don't show my face. Francesca, did you recognize the voices of any YouTube creators? Because I just heard them and I was like, oh my God, I've got to go live and talk about this. I've got a pinned comment now in my chat on YouTube. I'm a bit excited about that. But pretty much it says it was the Watts case that brought many of us to YouTube, and watching this latest Netflix special and hearing some of the creators who covered the case is kind of bizarre. Come chat. Me too, Francesca. Laura's a star. Laura's a star. You noticed too, Scout Inquirer. Yes, J is for Justice, and Critical K and Laura. And I don't know, are there more later on? Because I've stopped my TV screen. I've got Netflix loaded up on my laptop too, so I thought we'd play the bit. But did you guys get to the end? Is there more of them, or is that it? I couldn't believe it. There's one person I don't recognize. We might try and nut out who that was. To me, it sounded like there's JS for Justice, and I was a mod for her at the time with the Chris Watts case. And then there was a voice I didn't know, but we might see if we can work out who that was. It's a shame you can't Shazam YouTube voices, right? And then there's the interaction between Laura and Critical K, with Laura being the star of the show. No, it's Critical K who says that Shanann was a bitch. Not good. Not good at all. I'm really enjoying it. There is some new stuff, as you would know, those of you who've seen it. There's some new footage that Shanann's mum and dad have provided that we haven't seen before. But it's really a long story, Francesca. I think it was Jay too. Oh no, it's not Jay who says that Shanann was a bitch. Jay's comments something about Shanann not wanting the girls. But yeah, long story with Jay. But I came from a Facebook group that Kay had started, but we actually went to a podcast first, and then I started snooping around on YouTube and found Grey Hughes. And then I found Molly Golightly. She had about 3,000 subs, and she was fantastic train watch viewing, which I loved. And I found her more, I guess, entertaining to have on, although my neighbours or people walking past my house, because it was heading into summer here, so my house would be wide open, and I'd have MGL having meltdowns and doing all kinds of shit. I'm sure my neighbours thought I was batshit crazy. But what was I going to say? Yeah, so there's another voice after Jay. There's another voice. Is it Mensa? She was quite heavily into Chris Watts, but I didn't follow her. Hey, Katrina, how you doing? It's the new Netflix doco, American Murder, The Family Next Door. Netflix, that's the only way, because I mean Australian, well, I mean your Netflix would be the same, but yeah, it's American Murder, The Family Next Door. And basically what they've done is they've just put all the footage that we've seen before, plus some additional footage in chronological order. So the footage tells the story. But But yeah, if you go onto, you've got Netflix, Katrina. It's good to see you, gorgeous. What are you doing up at this hour? Oh no, you're a night owl. Yeah, it launched on the 30th of September, and because Australia, although it would be the 30th of September for you now, but because we were ahead of you, we actually could see it today. Hi, Crystal Dawn. So what I've done is I've got Netflix on my laptop. Yeah, cool. So if you go to Netflix, punch in American Murder, The Family Next Door, and it'll come up. You're supposed to be sleeping. Well, what I've done, Groove, is I've fast forwarded to the spot where the YouTube creators we know and love and maybe don't love are featured. It freaked me out. I don't know why. I don't know why. It's not like I'm starstruck because they're YouTube creators, right? But it was just weird because it was the Chris Watts case that dragged so many people onto YouTube. YouTube had only really added like going live not long before the Watts case started, and I've had a theory for a while, which I talked about recently on a beach walk, that I think one of the reasons this case has been followed so much is because YouTube suddenly had this capacity to go live. And so many people were going live and talking about it, which just sort of generated more people, and you were able to tap into other creators and listen to what people felt about the case. But then in addition to that, I think that with him pleading guilty so early on, and even though all that discovery was released, it left people with a lot of questions. I was one of those people who got kicked out of quite a few Facebook groups for saying that Chris was guilty from the start. In fact, I think I might have been kicked out of Kay's group for that. I think I mentioned the oil tanks and she wasn't open to discussing them, and I think I got booted. So I'm going to play the little grab. It's not long. It's just this little portion. It's just discussing the social media frenzy, Facebook, YouTube, and so on. And then there's a few voice grabs. And like I said, I think the first one's J is for Justice. The second one I can't place. Francesca, you may pick it. It could be Mensa. And then there's a conversation that happened on a live. I think it was actually on Makeup Mobster's channel between Laura Perplexed QT, Life Perplexed, and Critical K. So I'm going to play it. It's kind of, I don't know. I think why I'm excited is it's a bit sentimental. It's like, oh my God, this was where it all began. So many people on YouTube met each other because of the Watts case. And your guess is Mensa. Well, I don't know her voice, but she's no longer on YouTube, is she? Because I was going to say maybe we could just go to her channel and I apologize for my appearance. I was going to have my dinner and put makeup on because I did have a live scheduled for 8 p.m. But then I was like, I got to go live because some of the creators we follow or don't follow or modded for and no longer mod for and might be members for now or Patreons for featured. I'm not surprised it includes a little bit of it. But hey, I mentioned before did you guys get to the end of it? Is there anything more, Francesca, or Scout Inquirer that is 2 years ago? I know, it's crazy, isn't it? It was around this time we were all starting to explore YouTube, and I got so into YouTube. A lot of the Facebook groups were still chatting. Oh, Lady Justice. Okay. Well, let me play it and we'll see if we can pick the voices. But I'm putting bets. It's J is for Justice, then it's someone, and then it's Laura and Critical K. But I'll play it now, just the audio. I'll probably think this live will probably get erased, but who cares? Here we go.
System tells you when you open the door. A Colorado man
charged in the murders of his pregnant wife and 2 daughters, will be back in court today. But in an unsealed affidavit, he says he is not the one who killed his children.
I was just hoping he would be man enough today to just be like, you know what, this is what happened. There's no doubt in my mind my sister never, ever, ever hurt her children. She loves her kids. Loved them more than anything in this world.
Chris Watts learned that he could get life in prison.
Sorry, I
the possibility of parole
rewound it
or
a bit
death.
much. It's
Lots of
coming.
you asked about when the death penalty decision will be made. That is not something that's going to happen even in the next few weeks.
Here we go.
There is so much being said online in the dozens of Facebook groups and the tens of thousands of followers of these Facebook groups, these members. Everyone is tearing each piece of interaction between this couple apart.
I just have to wonder if
Jay.
she even wanted Bella and Cece.
Her parent-raising ideas were disturbing.
The one that I would label the narcissist is Shanann.
I think she drove him to lose
Okay.
his shit.
Oh my God, she did not drive him.
She did. She did.
You don't know what
She did, Laura. She did. She drove him insane.
Come on, why are you victim blaming?
She was the bitch.
There are people out there who believe
Laura, you're the hero of the day, Laura. My God. Sweet dreams, Katrina. So good to see you. You're on pause when I see what's going. You're so sweet. I think it's well done too. I mean, I haven't finished it yet because I'm hey, Happy Cubed. It was devastating, but yeah, happily cooking dinner, watching it, and I like how they've pretty much put all the footage we've seen in chronological order. They do jump backwards and forwards a bit for context, which is really clever. And there is a lot of additional footage as well that we haven't seen that the rechecks have provided. It definitely is the most recheck friendly thing I've seen. You know, that bloody horrible book and that terrible Lifetime movie and so on. Hey, Spacey. But yeah, so there's a lot of Kay and Laura in that last bit. But I've just realized there's actually, so it starts with J is for Justice, and then there's 2 different voices. I think one of them might be Mensa. Is the other one Jules of Thought? And then there's Laura and Critical K at the end. Hey, Aussie Mum. I'm going to rewind and play, and I won't talk this time. Here we go, Groovers. Guess the voices. So for those of you just wandering in, this is the new Netflix special or documentary called American Murder, The Family Next Door. It's about the Watts family massacre. I have actually frozen. So I paused my TV and made certain that it's Shanann and the girls on my screen and not fuckface. But I'll play it again because, yeah, I think there might be 2 voices after Jay's. Anyway, let's have a listen.
these members. Everyone is tearing each piece of interaction between this couple apart.
I just have to wonder if she even wanted Bella and Cece.
Her parent-raising ideas were disturbing.
The one that I would label the narcissist is Shanann.
I think she drove him to lose his shit.
Oh my God, she did not drive him.
She did. She did.
You don't know what
She did, Laura. She did. She drove him insane.
Come on, why are you victim blaming?
She was the bitch.
There are people.
I don't know if I'd want. I don't know if I'd want to be on that. Yeah, it's not Jules of Thought. Hey, Twiggy, Space Monster. I think I said hi. Turquoise, just watched it twice, crying my eyes out. Yeah, Laura. I mean, Laura's great in it. And it is, yeah. So the first voice is definitely Jay. Then there's 2 voices, and I think one of them might be Mensa, but I really don't recognize them. I don't know them well enough to be certain, but I was just I was like, oh, that sounds a bit like Jay, and then I was like, that's definitely Laura, and then oh, that's Kay, but Mary Marlowe. Laura's not going to get hammered for that. No way. Oh yeah, I don't think it's Mary Marlowe. But we can take guesses. It's kind of fun. Guess the voices. Kay will get hammered, not Laura. No way. I think Laura is definitely Jay. Jay's for Justice is the one who says that she didn't want Bella and Cece. That's definitely Jay. But then the next two, don't know. It's Kay who says that Shanann was a bitch. I saw that live and I've seen it being replayed. It was on, I think it was on Makeup Mobster's channel, and she recently played the Critical K live, replayed it. But who are the others? And if anyone's made it to the end, is there more of the YouTubey people? I mean, I noticed there's another news story. Hang on, let's play it and see if there's anything else.
People out there who believe he is innocent.
And those conspiracy theorists are using social media to relentlessly attack Shanann's family.
Shanann's father, Frank Ruzek, says his daughter and his grandchildren have been ridiculed, demeaned, slandered.
Right, so it looks like it moves on to that first time that Frank Ruzek, poor man, had to publicly speak to tell people to stop it. That, I bawled my eyes out that day. I bawled my eyes out the first time Watts went to court and Frank just burst into tears and was so broken. And it's like, and I think I got caught in another discussion in a Facebook group that I got kicked out of, where I said, have a look at the difference in the two men. I was in a group where people were still saying that Shanann had killed the girls. Look at Chris Watts standing on that porch in that interview, not a tear in his eye. Even in the interrogation, Tammy Lee saying to him, you haven't cried once about your girls. And then I pointed out Shanann's dad, and I said, that is the sign of a grieving man, not Chris Watts. For once, okay, I said something right. Well, she was good. I mean, I think her approach with the whole thing, I followed her and started watching her because she was on the realistic side of it. She wasn't going down the Shanann killed the girls road. And she also, when he pleaded guilty and it ended, she really dropped the case. She didn't carry on for 2 more years talking about it, right? So a proud moment to be, well, I got kicked out of groups and I got kicked out of being a mod as well. Nothing to do with that though. Good to see you, Groovers. Haven't seen some of you for ages. Haven't seen Happy Cube for ages. So should we play Guess That Voice again? We've got 17 people. We're playing a little snippet from the new Netflix documentary on the Watts family murders. It's called American Murder, The Family Next Door. And it's really good. It's pretty much put all of the footage in chronological order. There's some additional footage we haven't seen before, personal family stuff. It's pretty beautiful, actually. In fact, it makes it even more heartbreaking because it is really personal family stuff that the Ruzeks have provided. But it's really well done. There's a little bit of jumping forward and jumping back in terms of context. But even though we know this case inside and out, it's still watching it. It's like, it feels like you're hearing it for the first time. It sort of sounds familiar, but yeah, it's weird. But in an hour and 8 minutes into it, they show some footage of discussion on a TV show. I can't remember that woman's name. I'm not American, I'm sorry, but she was quite prolific through all of this as well. And I think her show got shut down. What was her name? Does anyone remember? But they mentioned that there's a bit of a Facebook frenzy, and social media frenzy with people believing that Shanann killed the girls. And then there's some little sound bites of some very familiar YouTube creators who covered it. The first voice is J is for Justice. Then there's two female voices that are different, but I don't know them. I'm thinking one of them might be Mensa, but I don't even know what stance she took. Was she pro Chris or pro Shanann? And then at the end, there's some interaction between Laura, Life Perplex QT, and Critical K. But we're trying to work out who these two other voices are. So here we go again.
These members, everyone is tearing each piece of interaction between this couple apart.
I just have to wonder if she even wanted Bella and Cece.
Her parent raising ideas were disturbing.
The one that I would label the narcissist is Shanann.
I think she drove him to lose his shit.
Oh my God, she did not drive him.
She did. She did.
You don't know what went on.
She did, Laura. She did. She drove him insane.
Mom, why are you victim blaming?
She was a bitch.
There are people out.
Yikes. Grandma Ducky, g'day. Yeah, the new footage got me too. Hey, Seshu. Yeah, the new footage got me too, Turquoise. I do apologise for my appearance. Straight back from the gym, cooking dinner, whacked on the new What's Family Murders doco on Netflix, and then heard the dulcet tones of some YouTube creators I'm quite familiar with, as we all are. But AD is going to be annoyed because he didn't feature. She might. I mean, is one of them Delusion Dispeller? Although was she pro Chris? I don't know. Yeah, Critical K and Laura had it out, I think, on Makeup Mobster's channel. Makeup Mobster had K on a couple of times. One time it was well, in the two shows, Mandy Bell was on one of them. Gray Hughes came up and had a fight with Critical K. Dana a little bit came up and had a fight with Critical K. Laura put Critical K in a box, and Makeup Mobster recently replayed one of those, the one with Dana on it. So I'm always pretty, oh, you're being way too kind. Yeah, I don't think it is Molly Golightly, which is bizarre. But, I mean, Molly didn't really, I mean, she did that awful Thrive Patch thing, but she didn't really, she didn't think that Chris Story was right. I don't recall her thinking that. She certainly took the piss out of Shanann, but I don't really remember her having strong opinions on it. She really just sort of, I remember her having her TV set up in the living room, I think when the verdict or when he pleaded guilty. And she sort of did like a reaction video, but she was reacting to her TV. But I don't remember her being really pro Chris. The way she said disturbing sounded like Mary Marlowe's voice pattern. I mean, is it possible one of them someone like, is it Stephanie Harlow that we don't watch? Although she wouldn't have been a pro Chris person. The people that weren't pro Chris were people that were reasonable. Realists, you know. I had no doubt in my mind the second I saw him do that porch interview that he'd killed them all. But it also, his demeanour in that interview was incredibly similar to an Australian murderer who murdered his wife. Her name was Alison Baden Clay, but her husband who killed her, he gave a similar interview, and you could tell when you were watching Gerard Baden Clay being interviewed that he did it. It was the exact same vibe. No, I'm not. Oh, are you saying you're with, when we say MM, are we talking Mary Marlowe, or are we talking Makeup Mobster? Because all I'm saying is that Makeup Mobster recently showed the discussion on her channel between Laura and Critical K. Drunk Molly's voice. Yes, she was turquoise. It is good, but I haven't finished it because I got excited. I wanted to go live and talk about the YouTube creators that we know and love and are ambivalent about. Watch me being diplomatic, who feature in it. Just their voices. But we're playing, who were they? No, I didn't think it was Stephanie Harlow, but I'm just thinking, yeah, Baden Clay is a total prick. Okay, so you're saying Mary. All right. Hey, Ivor. Yeah, so I won't, we won't think Makeup Mobster, but Makeup Mobster did show the Critical K and Laura debate. And she had Critical K on her panel a couple of times. I don't remember Laura having Critical K on her channel. Not to say she didn't, but I know that Makeup Mobster did. And, yeah, there were all kinds of things because Critical K got stuck into Grey Hughes. She got stuck into Dana a little bit and made a joke about her Coke bottle glasses. And Laura had a crack at her about victim blaming, and that's what's used. Yeah, the arms crossed, rocking back and forth. And Gerard Baden Clay did that too, although he had his sister standing next to him as well, who was equally as smug. And he kind of used her for a bit of deflecting. Not Zav Girl. Boba Fett. Who's that? Lavender Moon, hello. I'll play it again. I mean, I'll screen share it, but I reckon Netflix is going to have a crack at me anyway. I could get into, this may not last till sunrise. But there's no point really showing you the footage anyway because it's purely audio, but guess the voices. But, yeah, I recognise JS for Justice straight away. She's the first comment. Then there's two different female voices, and then Laura and Critical K. But Critical K's last comment, I mean, Netflix don't name them, but, wow, I wouldn't be too pleased if I said something like that and it ended up on a Netflix documentary. But I wouldn't have said that about this particular case anyway. But I don't know, maybe she's a shock jock and it'll tickle her fancy. I don't know. But here we go. Let's play it again.
Interaction between this couple apart.
I just have to wonder if she even wanted Bella and Cece.
Her parent raising ideas were disturbing.
The one that I would label the narcissist is Shanann.
I think she drove him to lose his shit.
Oh my God, she did not drive him.
She did. She did.
You don't know what went on.
She did, Laura. She did. She drove him insane.
Why are you victim blaming?
She was the bitch.
There are people out.
I reckon the first one. I think the first one could be Delusion Dispeller because she's got that little kind of lisp. Not the first one. The first one after J is for Justice. The one who says something about she had dubious parenting style. 'Twas but a jest. I love it, Sesh. I don't know if they'll get shit for their words because at the end of the day, we know who they are. But if you're Ma and Pa Smith sitting in the living room watching Netflix, you're not going to know who they are. They're not named. So it's only because we know who they are that it's next level intriguing, right? Yeah, we've got K. It's the second. No, there's J. Then there's two women who say something each, and I reckon the first one sounds a little bit like Delusion Dispeller. And she's not necessarily anti-Shanann, but she is questioning Shanann's parenting. So there's a woman who sounds a little bit older with a bit of a lisp. Then there's another woman, and then at the end it's Laura and Critical K. But it's the two in the middle we're trying to guess. I mean, it's in my description. I had JK and Laura, but it's the other two. We were just trying to guess who they were. Yeah, I don't think it's a good look either, Francesca, at all. I really don't. Like, it's one thing to be into true crime and talk about cases. It's another to say things like that are, I mean, if she thought she was a bitch, think it, but you don't say it when that poor woman's been murdered, along with her two precious daughters and her unborn son. There's, I mean, I don't know if it's a shock jock thing. Well done. You did great, girl. But, I don't know. I guess because I'm a criminal, well, I'm not practicing criminal law now, but having been a criminal lawyer, like, I had opinions about people I represented. Of course I did, but I didn't stand up in court and say, lock him away. He's an asshole. He's a cunt. Like, everyone was already thinking it anyway in court, I guess. But, well, they maybe not. Some people did get acquitted. But, yeah. But I don't think it is delusion dispeller. Cool. All right. I've got confirmation from Grandma Ducky. Well, that's your opinion. I just think it's the case that brought a lot of people into the YouTube world, and it's kind of interesting that Netflix has this new doco, and I was cooking dinner and I heard some familiar voices, and I was like, let's go live and try and guess who the other ones were. They were so loved. In fact, they were more loved than a lot of kids that we see on YouTube in the true crime world, weren't they? Hey, Claire Bear, how are you going, gorgeous? I hope you're having a good time. Crystal Dawn, hello. Hello, Geraldine. Can you imagine if AD was in it? I think Netflix was smart enough, or whoever made the doco was smart enough to go, no. So we just need that other woman, but I don't know. I mean, she could be anyone. There may have been heaps of other YouTube creators who covered it that we don't even know about. I agree, Francesca. I think they do lack a conscience, but I also think that they do things for for shock value and for views. And I mean, these are people, they're a blast from the past. I only watch one of them now. And only for sort of true crime stuff or gamesy kind of stuff, not for drama stuff. But because it brought so many of the subs on my channel, we all kind of met 2 years ago watching this case and discussing it. I just thought it was kind of fun to have a live to see if we could recognize those other voices. But yeah, let's play it one more time. We're going with delusion dispeller for the second voice. So I already, at the start, before I went live, I clearly recognized Jay's voice. Then we think number 2 is delusion dispeller, possibly. I think that little lisp sounds like her. I don't watch a lot of her, but I know her voice is quite unique. Then there's another woman, who knows, and then at the end it's Laura and Perplex QT and Critical K. And Critical K is the one that drops the final comment.
These members, everyone is tearing each piece of interaction between this couple apart.
I just have to wonder if she even wanted Bella and Cece.
Her parent raising ideas were disturbing.
The one that I would label the narcissist is Shanann.
I think she drove him to lose his shit.
Oh my God, she did not drive him.
She did. She did.
Oh, no,
She did, Laura. She did. She drove him insane.
Come on, why are you victim blaming?
She was the bitch.
It's really awful too, because right when she says she was a bitch, there's beautiful footage of Shanann cuddling Cece. Which is, I really appreciate whoever made this doco that they did that, because it's the complete opposite of what's been said. So you reckon it's Molly saying the narcissistic one? Interesting, Lavender Moon. I know that she did. I remember her taking the piss out of Shanann, but I can't remember her having very firm opinions on it either way. I don't know. Yeah, it's definitely Jay. I was a mod for Jay. I do know Jay. I spoke to Jay on the phone a lot. I knew her voice as soon as it was actually Jay's voice that I heard when I was cooking. And I spun around and went, what the? I kind of heard them talking about social media and I thought, I wonder if they're going to show anything from YouTube. And then at the end I could hear the Laura and Kay bit. But yeah, number three. D90 Bell, g'day. Good to see you. It would be horrible if you were the YouTuber making those well, yeah, I'd feel horrible. I don't know if she will, to be honest with you. She kind of stands by everything she says. I don't recall her back in the day ever kind of retracting anything or admitting she got something wrong. That's not to say she doesn't now. I wouldn't have a clue. But back in the day, she didn't strike me as someone who would be easily convinced she might have got something wrong. Could be wrong, but yeah, she was, Francesca. She was deep into the case. I used to play Molly Golightly because she used to always be so unhinged and unpredictable. And the first YouTube creator I found talking about it was Gray Hughes, and I didn't like. I think he's an incredibly good true crime person, but the pace wasn't good enough for me. Well, not good enough. It wasn't the right tempo for me. If I needed to do some housework, I needed Molly Golightly losing a shit. But that was back when she had like 3,000 subs. She was a very different creature back then. But I don't remember her having really firm views like J and K did and talked about on their podcast before they even came to YouTube. Their Murder Rap Sesh podcast was pretty scathing about Shanann. And that was, like I said, before even the YouTube stuff. But yeah, I can't really remember Molly having firm opinions. I just remember her being kind of unhinged and unpredictable and bit cray-cray. Watch me get my whole channel shut down for even talking about this. Oh, please don't strike me, anybody. I agree, Happy Cubed. I also wish it had never happened. And you just, every time you see any footage, you just want to, especially the doco starts with Shanann, or fairly early in the doco with her walking up to the house on the 13th of August. And it's like, don't go in that house. Don't go in there. You just want to rewind the clock and save them. It's just hideous. Yeah, Kay did change her side. She did. They did change down the track, but they were pretty bloody adamant. I got kicked out of one of the Facebook groups for being pro Shanann, or maybe two, possibly three now I think of it. I was well and truly over in YouTube land by then anyway. I couldn't believe the Facebook groups were still so active. I thought everyone had just gone stuff Facebook and had moved to YouTube. Hey, Remy, how you doing? A rare appearance on my channel. Good to have you here. And there's a few a few OGs. Happy Cube's been one of my subs from pretty much the start. 'Twas the Watts case that brought many of us together. Crystal, my heart goes out to the family. I couldn't imagine losing your loved ones like this and having a media frenzy like never before. Yeah, the sad reality of any modern crimes is with social media, all these different platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I don't think TikTok, does TikTok do true crime? I don't know. But, and also people having cameras. And that was one thing. Shanann filmed everything. So there was a lot of stuff already out there. But, but it also, it makes people, I guess, get way more connected to victims and so on. But also it brings awareness to things like the Boxing Day tsunami, because it happened in tourist areas as well as in other parts of Asia. People had footage of it and appreciated how graphic it was, and they were more inclined to donate. And so, social media can be a blessing and a curse, I guess, because even though there wasn't a lot of footage of what happened in Aceh in Indonesia, but because of people being able to see what happened in Phuket, for example, they were very generous and donated and connected. So, yeah, it's kind of a double-edged sword, that old social media thing. Right tempo. Thank you. Don't get me wrong. Grey Hughes is probably a great tempo at night when you want to go to sleep, or if you've got insomnia, he'd probably just soothe you off to bed. Oh, no, I'm so behind in chat. Sorry, I'm going to scroll right down the end. Yeah, it's interesting. People did go nuts, Spacey. We were voyeurs. It was crazy. Francesca, I imagine any sort of current cases, like even though it's not a true crime case, even the Sophie, I'm with Sophie, that's causing, all kinds of crap all over YouTube, and I suspect over Facebook, social media, and so on. And I really haven't followed another case with the same amount of interest. I'm too busy scam baiting these days. In fact, I'm going live in half an hour to do some scam baiting. But, I moved on from I reached my use by date, but I think around the same time I started doing my own true crime podcast, which is comedy based. Sort of plug my channel, Smooth Criminal Podcast channel on YouTube. It is on all podcasting platforms except for Spotify, because they want money and I won't pay them. But the channels that still talk about it are ridiculous, and making money off it too. 2 years later, it's disgusting. Jerry's weaning herself off the Watts case. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Ivor. But Ivor left, I think. I don't think Ivor likes any of the YouTubers mentioned in the Netflix special. I recently saw some footage on YouTube with a timeline counting down from the beach trip. Yeah, every married woman on YouTube did look at their husband and wonder if they could do a Chris Watt, for sure. So anyway, we're going to go with, I already knew Jay's voice. Delusion Dispeller is the second one. Big question mark. There's a few more people in here now. I might play it one more time. See if you can guess the third voice. We know it's J is for Justice. We think it's Delusion Dispeller as the second female voice. The third female voice, we don't know. And then at the end, there's a little interaction between Laura and Critical K. Yeah, and I'm just trying to read chat. Oh, thank you, Claire Bear, for putting the link for my podcast channel. The YouTube channel is only small in terms of my listener base with my podcast, but you do get to hear episodes usually a day before they come out on all the podcast platforms. It's a little benefit for being on the YouTube channel. Ivor introduced us, Jerry. We got all spacey together. SpaceX. Oh, shit, quite a few people have dropped. So I'll play it one more time, and then I'm going to wrap this up because I've got some live scam baiting to do. If you don't know what that is, hang around. I'll be going live again in 25 minutes. So here's one last time. We may never know who voice number 3 is, but it was a bit of a blast from the past. And because I met so many of you groovers on YouTube 2 years ago because of this case, I don't know why, but I thought it was exciting, even though they're being quite criticized. But Laura is definitely the hero in this selection. Delusion Dispeller's not being too bad. But anyway, have a listen.
These members, everyone is tearing each piece of interaction between this couple apart.
I just have to wonder if she even wanted Bella and Cece.
Her parent raising ideas were disturbing.
The one that I would label the narcissist is Shanann.
I think she drove him to lose his shit.
Oh my God, she did not drive him.
She did. She did.
You don't know what
She did, Laura. She did. She drove him insane.
Come on, why are you victim blaming?
She was the bitch.
There are people out there who believe he is innocent.
Every time I hear that, I'm like, no, there's 2 in the middle space. There's 2 in the middle. Kay doesn't start talking until I actually made notes. Kay doesn't start talking until she says, I think she drove him. That's the first time you hear critical Kay. J is for Justice is the first one. The one about the parenting skills or habits or whatever sounds like Delusion Dispeller. The third one, is it Mensa? I don't know. I didn't watch Mensa. I don't know if Mensa was pro Chris or pro Shanann. I've got no idea. And then Critical K comes in with, I think she drove him. And that's a conversation that she's having with Laura, Perplexed QT. And K ends with, I think she was a bitch. So, yeah, there's someone in the middle. But in any event, well done, YouTubers of America. Some of you made it into the latest Netflix documentary about the Watts family murders. I thoroughly recommend it. I haven't finished it yet because I was like, oh, let's go live and play Guess the Voice. If anyone does work out who that third voice is, or even the second, if you want to confirm that it's Delusion Dispeller. But I think it does sound like her. She's got a very recognizable voice. Oh, so it was on Laura's channel, was it? Okay, I was confused because I thought that one with Kay was one of the ones that Makeup Mobster did. Mensa Pro Chris. Okay, so it's really possible that that narcissist comment by the third voice is Mensa. Okay. And I know that Mensa kind of got a bit of public, sort of, you know, not bad publicity, but was kind of known as one of the really vocal pro Chris people. So, yeah, blast from the past, how we all met, where it all began. I'm not going to have time to do my face before we go live with some scam baiting. G'day, Mel. But I don't know, I got excited. It's kind of sentimental. It's how we all discovered YouTube, or most of us. It was fun to hear the voices and play Guess the Voice. Yeah, Remy, Makeup Mobster did have 2 because in one of them, well, I mean, I can go through the guess because I remember it vividly. Critical K was on both. She got stuck into grey hues. She said Dana a little bit had Coke bottle glasses. Mandy Bell was on one with Critical K. And Laura too. But yeah, bit of fun. Voice spotting. But yeah, if anyone can actually Mel. We think I'll play it one more time and then I'm going to end this live and then I've got to get, who are we doing tonight? The soft skid mark. I've got to get my catfishing brain on and get you all up to date with the soft skid mark. But so I'd already worked out J's for Justice, Critical K and Laura from when I saw it on Netflix while I was cooking dinner. I heard Jay's voice. I was like, that's Jay. And then I heard Laura. I was like, and then I heard Kay saying what she says. and I thought Mensa may be one of them, but I don't know her well enough. And then Delusion Dispeller for the second voice. That's a bit of fun, happy, cute. Guess the voice. One advantage of being in Australia, even though we sound rough as guts and we're all terrible drinkers, even though I drink tea, and we swear a lot, we do get to see things a bit before you guys. We're in the future. So I'm going to play it one more time, but I want if Mel Mel's around. Hey, Mandy Hall. If Mel Mel's still with us, she might be able to vouch for the second voice being Dee Dee. One more time, and then we're out of here, groovers. Here we go.
These members, everyone is tearing each piece of interaction between this couple apart.
I just have to wonder if she even wanted Bella and Cece.
Her parent raising ideas were disturbing.
The one that I would label the narcissist is Shanann.
I think she drove him to lose his shit.
Oh my God, she did not drive him.
She did. She did.
Oh, no,
She did, Laura. She did. She drove him insane.
Come on, why are you victim blaming?
She was the bitch.
There are people out there who believe he is innocent.
Yeah, I'm going to wait for Mel Mel. Yep, she's confirmed it. Dee Dee, we got that one, but the third one, let's just say it's Mensa. But yeah, Kay girl, Kay. I know you'll probably stand by it and it's what you thought at the time, but wowza. Wowza Rooney. They don't mention the creators. There's no footage. It's just audio. And it's from a news clip. And then it goes on to poor Frank Ruchek having to go public and ask for it to stop. And that was heartbreaking too, the first time he was interviewed. And the reaction from a lot of channels, I'm pretty sure Critical K was one of them, but it was a pretty common attitude was they need to get off social media, and I've never agreed with that. If you've had your fucking family wiped out by a man that you took in as a son and you loved, and the Netflix documentary shows footage of them at the wedding talking about how much they loved Chris, and people are talking about your family and victimizing them, I'd be watching. Knowledge is power. And some of the stuff that was being shown for them was also the only connecting point they still had to Shanann and the girls was videos and footage of them. And it's no one's right to tell anyone what they do when they're grieving. And I'm sorry, but if my family died in horrific circumstances and half of the social media world was slagging them off, I'd be watching for sure. I never agreed with that. How dare anyone say they need to get off social media until you've had your daughter, grandchildren wiped out by a man that you took into your family and loved like a son. You don't get to decide who stays on social media. It never gelled with me, that view at all. Haven't got to the credits yet, Claire Bear. Yeah, I never followed her either, Grandma Ducky. Mensa wrote books about the case. If who will sue for slander? The YouTubers? No, that's public record. They said it. If that's what you mean. I'll check the credits though when I get to the end, Claire Bear. Yeah, I get why they were on here too, Mel Mel. I'm glad someone else agrees. Social media does keep some people alive. Exactly. And also, weren't there people that created like a fake Shanann Twitter account and people were commenting on Shanann's page and stuff like, of course you'd want to be on social media to see what's been said and try and stop it. I think YouTubers are interesting modern day commentators because they're not necessarily educated in the area they're talking about, which includes me. They are coming in from different points and perspectives that are a bit kookier than maybe police investigations and so on. But I do think you've got a bit of a responsibility as well to be mindful of the victims that you're talking about. I really do. And that's why I made a point of pausing the telly on, although you can't really see it. You might be able to picture little Bella's face, but I made sure to stop the telly on their photo, not his, because it's really, and that's why I call it the Watts Family Murders as well. And I do that with my true crime podcast too. I name victims wherever I can. But yeah, I think it's one thing to go live and talk about stuff, but show some dignity and grace. You don't have to. I mean, if you want to be a shock jock and that's the road you're going down, then yeah, audio grabs of you calling a victim a bitch is going to get used. And like I said, Kay will probably won't care at all. But Grace and Frankie promos kicked in. Claire Bear's going to check the credits at the end. I think it'll only credit the news channel that story's from that has used the audio grabs of the YouTubers. Jinx. Morals are free. You heard the filmmakers didn't get permission to use the clips. Which clips? I'm going to have to go in a minute. Shit, I'll go live in 10 minutes. It's a clip from a news channel, though. It's not YouTube. It's just their audio. I can't tell. Hang on. Just reloading again.
These members, everyone is tearing each piece.
All I can see is headline news. There's no actual news logo anywhere, and it says Los Angeles. But I love Grace and Frankie. It's gold. But yeah, it's a news story, and they've used audio clips of some of our creators. No, they won't ever recover, Happy Cube. They won't. But anyway, guys, thanks for hanging out. So we've got JS for Justice, Delusion Dispeller, possibly Mensa, Perplex QT, Laura, and Critical K making an appearance in the new Netflix doco. So thanks for hanging out. I've got to get some stuff happening and get organised. I've got some scam baiting news. Need to get some of you guys up to speed on the soft skid mark tonight. And he was around earlier. He probably won't be now. I was trying to keep him on the hook, and then I went, bugger him. My phone's still in the bathroom. I was chatting in there when I was emptying out a tub of water. It's a long story, but anyway, yeah, my phone's nowhere near me. He's probably waiting for me. I told him I was having a shower. He might think I've drowned. But thanks so much, Grievous, for hanging out. It was really interesting and fun. And take care, everyone. And stay groovy, and see you soon in 10 minutes, in fact. Hit the subscribe button, the notifications bell, and thanks. Jerry said to hit the thumbs up. I'd never asked that. But love you guys. Thanks for hanging out. It was heaps of fun. What does this little thing do? Exit solo. Oh. Okay. I just found some new buttons. And no AD. That's the best of all. Exactly. So until next time, stay groovy, everyone. Got no idea where Biscuit is. She's probably down in the spare room. She's like, oh, great. Tori's alive again. But take care, everyone. Thanks for joining me. That was fun. And we'll see you all soon. I really have to work on my wave, as Hugh Grant says in Love Actually.